Good morning, everybody, and here's Rhyme of the Times for last week, which is the weekend in 21st of January 2023. Trouble for the Constitution, the police institution, levelling up contributions, and German resolution as Ukraine seeks military solutions. Once divided by the bricks of Hadrian's Wall, and now embroiled in a political squall, England and Scotland in constitutional knots over the gender recognition bill passed by the Scots. The recognition bill has not been recognised as legitimate law in Westminster's eyes. Sturgeon thought Holyrood's right to enact its own laws was in fact being attacked, while Westminster said it would have backed the Scottish bill but for the fact that it lacked the authority to contradict the Equalities Act, which is the act that acts for the whole UK pact. The issue of concern is that this bill may serve to provide opportunities for rapists and pervs to get entry into female safe spaces, and therefore turning them into unsafe places. Another place where women should feel no fear is anywhere where the police are near. But that trust in our bobbies has all but been purged since Monday, when David Carrick's horrors emerged. 49 sex crimes, including 24 rapes, 2 decades of offences and narrow escapes. Escapes for Carrick, whose words and deeds in bad taste for many years caused eyebrows and red flags to be raised. He's not the first or the last, just the latest police officer to be found to be a rapist. Another one bad apple? Or one bad bunch, a whole rotten orchard, and it's come to the crunch. The whole police institution needs a kick up the bum, a copper-bottomed assurance to remove the scum. 2 days later there was the ominous spectre of the discovery last week of a chief inspector. His body was found when he'd been due to be accused of distributing images of child abuse. Now the police vetting process itself will be vetted. Hundreds of police officers are now being re-vetted. Just before the news of Carrick was released, we'd been praising some good work by the police. A 22-year-old was in custody for a drive-by shooting on 14th of January. 26 hours had passed when the guy was nicked. Police investigations were quick and slick. A church in Euston had been the scene of the crime. A memorial service just finished at that time. 300 mourners were gathered outside. Several were injured. So far no one's died. On Thursday, Lancashire's plod had things easier. Their villain had filmed his misdeed for social media. Instagram viewers saw our Prime Minister explain that the levelling up handouts were back again. Rishi spoke from a car while wearing no seatbelt. It wasn't long before his collar was felt. Over 1 million eyewitnesses saw his crime. The police issued him with £100 fine. So Sunak paid the price for an unsafe seat. Next year that could mean electoral defeat. For the moment it just means he's only behind Boris as one of 2 sitting PMs to be fined. As for the levelling up distribution, there were winners, losers and much confusion. Pork barrel politics or a begging bowl, a kind of centrally controlled, devolved control. Such arbitrary central government decisions creating division over the monetary division. The government insists the North received more, thus achieving the aim of targeting the poor. In the end there has to be winners and losers. Accept the result. Beggars can't be choosers. There was a 48-hour nurses' strike this week. The squeeze goes on, but still no pips squeak. Little hope is coming from either side. While the government wants inflation to subside, the NHS worries about pay and conditions, and both sides stress about the recruitment position. And in a ballot on strike action held Monday, teachers became the latest to join in the fray. Britain was strangely captured like a fly in a web on Wednesday by the musings of Professor Susan Jebb. The chairwoman of the Food Standards Agency suggested we had no personal agency in resisting our desire to eat tempting cake when placed before us during the office tea break. And so she concluded, with no hint of joking, that cake is as dangerous as passive smoking. While most can see passive smoking isn't a choice, the world's weak-willed, in Jebb's name, rejoiced. In foreign news, on Thursday we were shocked to learn of the resignation announcement from Jacinda Ardern. The New Zealand PM was typically frank when she said she simply had no more in the tank. On the subject of tanks, Ukraine wants more. At a meeting on Friday, Zelensky asked once more. Over 50 countries gathered in a German air base as fears of a new Russian offensive are faced. But the Germans remained the stumbling block, unwilling to offer their key to unlock their licensed German-built Leopard 2 tanks, essential for the Russians to be outflanked. The Germans, still haunted by the Second World War, want as little to do with any war anymore. Zelensky would say he'd also love to abstain, but war remains the only choice for Ukraine until Putin ends his futile campaign.